Welcome, folks, back to the SMITE 2 Founders Series. Jorby and Trelly starting the day with y'all in EMEA. We were with you guys in EMEA yesterday. We're going through the last chance qualifiers, and it is a group, 5 groups of 5 here in EMEA, round robin, all sorts of fun. We've watched a couple of teams so far. But Trelly, how you doing today? Getting ready for another great day here, another great Sunday.
Exactly. I think I gained an hour of sleep. I think we all did something like that, and
Yeah.
woke up energized, feeling ready to cast some great Smite too. I mean, what more could you want?
Absolutely. And maybe it'll go a little better than it did yesterday
Yeah.
for some teams. We had absolute stomps yesterday, but let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule for the last chance qualifiers for EMEA. As you can see, we're over on Group B now. It's not gotten started yet. That will be today. So if you guys aren't familiar with it, like I was saying before, it is 5 groups of 5 here in EMEA. You play round robin, so you play everybody in your group once. Top of the group, you're in. Bottom of the group, you're out. Simple, easy does it. And here is Group B. We got KTG, MMB, Old and New, Titans Reloaded, and TLM. Old and New, Titans Reloaded, and TLM. MMB all came from the Swiss stage, all losing in that bottom 8. But KTG, the only team not from that Swiss stage. Who do you have the favorite of this group in general, Trelly?
Of this group, I'm looking towards a couple squads that I remember, of course, from Founders. Like I was very impressed with Old and New. I liked a lot of what they were able to do. But Titans Reloaded, from everyone that I have talked to, seems to be the dark horse of the whole thing. Like there are 10 teams, 2 groups of 5, and Titans Reloaded seems to be the team that everyone has their eyes on as the guys that are like that top seed. So I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on them as well. They seem like, if there was a squad to beat here, that would definitely be it. We did get to see some great gameplay from Mega Plumbers as well. So, that they're over in the other group, but still threats no less. But yeah, this Titans Reloaded roster, I think, is very, very intimidating to everyone else in this bracket. And they were kind of in the position where it was like, why are they even here? Right? Why weren't they just able to qualify into Founders? So that may bring their gameplay into some question, but I still think they are a pretty solid squad to try and contend against.
Yeah, I think I'm getting, I'm really enjoying the 5s. Instead of 5 groups of 5, it is 2 groups of 5. That's my bad on that. But taking a look also, it wasn't just the Swiss stage that we found some of these teams. There was also an open bracket portion, but some of the rosters that we have as well. We got Mega Plumbers and KTG coming in from that open bracket. We got to see Sager on the Bacchus yesterday. That
Oof.
was a lot of fun. We saw Callus's Ares yesterday as well. He was absolutely nasty with it. And we got KTG, who we haven't seen in this last chance qualifier just yet, with Red Panda, Bam, Excel, Zills, and Oniville. But these are the 2 teams from that open bracket. Mega Plumbers did impress. They did pretty well in their group yesterday.
Yeah, they absolutely did, and that's the thing. These are the guys that we didn't get to watch during the Swiss stage. They had to qualify into the open bracket, which still a lot of talent. We mentioned this yesterday as well. If you have been watching Smite one competitive for a while, you're going to recognize a lot of the names over on Mega Plumbers, KTG, a younger squad, but just as hungry, man. I'm always looking towards newer teams that don't have names that you would recognize because maybe they just got inspired with the start of Smite 2 and a start of a new era, and they have been grinding their hearts out, which is always endearing to see.
And obviously, we also have the rosters from the bottom 8 of Swiss. We've gotten a look at some of those teams yesterday, right? We got to look at Project Win with Hugador and company. They did not have a good time yesterday, as well as Chase the Enemy also did not have a good time against the likes of DDK and Mega Plumbers, excuse me. But some guys that we've watched before in the last chance qual so far was Threat Level Midnight at the end of Swiss, Titans Reloaded. You talk about Titans Reloaded being that dark horse, and everyone seems to be saying that they are on that come up. We get to see them today, so we're going to watch them versus Threat Level Midnight. I have a feeling that's going to be a great match. But Old and New, we get a look at them. Outside of that, though, any particular players outside of everyone you see, maybe outside of Titans Reloaded, Trelly, that you've been overall impressed with, or someone that you've seen step up that you necessarily didn't expect?
Yeah, I mean, we've been watching DDK, and D Drake has been an absolute menace. Like his jungle gameplay is top notch, so definitely keep your eyes on someone like that. I've been very impressed with watching Game Hunter again. He was someone that I got to watch in the very first Smite lands ever. Like the first competitive pentakill in Smite 1 was done by Game Hunter, and bro's just
Yeah.
back once again, which is exciting to see. So just a ton of good Smite to watch. If you can only make a couple of these sets, remember we still do recaps every Friday if you miss them. But if you don't, you definitely want to tune into these matches that we're talking about, because there's going to be something that you want to keep your eyes on. There really isn't any teams that I would say aren't going to bring something new to the table. And that's kind of the benefit of a new and evolving esport, is that there's going to be constant meta changes and constant interesting plays. You just don't want to miss it.
And we did see a little bit of that yesterday in the pick and ban stages. Let's see if we see a little bit more of that as the meta continues to shift based on the balance of the game. Old and new versus KTG will be our first match of the day. And we'll see how the bans fall. Popular bans have always been, a Fenrir, a Baron, maybe a Bacchus, but Bacchus was a little targeted yesterday on Wengu, and Wengu showed that it doesn't need a Bacchus to beat you. But I'm curious how this one will start, and it is Fenrir getting banned out. We talked a little bit about the very slight nerf that he experienced, definitely not enough to nerf the early game potential of Fenrir.
Exactly, and that's why you're picking the Fenrir, really. I think late game, everyone's got some access to CC immunity, but that early game damage and that threat of just how much burst he can bring is definitely a target. Zeus has been climbing his way into that same level of top pick, top ban, so keep your eyes on him as well. But I still think Baron, Jing, Wei, Odin, like these are all topics of conversation for that first pick slot. I've been pretty consistently like learning new priority picks when I say things like that, and they just go into like the Morgan or they go into like Hecate. There's just a lot of options that a team can go for here. I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw something like Hercules, because I know that Game Hunter loves it. But we're going to go with Old Reliable. Every jungler is still trying to get their hands on Loki, and it seems like old and new are no different. Remember, when you give up Loki, though, you give up 2 pretty solid picks in return. You'd like to think it's some early pressure. Again, you do not want Loki getting late game. Once he does, he just is able to one-shot just about anyone who doesn't have protections built, and that's usually like half your team. So you got to watch out if you're letting this Loki get 6 slotted.
Yeah, his burst is pretty nasty, and the amount of movement he gets in addition to the combat blink that is popular is pretty nasty. Nuwa actually going to get locked in first. Typically on the counter on the other side, you'll see an Amaterasu picked up or maybe even a Baron, but Nuwa getting selected first feels a lot like first pick Zeus that we saw yesterday with Chase the Enemy.
Yeah, definitely not a priority pick, so to speak, but I think has a decent enough time against Loki. Maybe that's the idea here. You just want to use the ult and reveals Loki in stealth. You can kind of hide and then use your minions to peel for yourself. That could be the idea here. Or XL just really wanted to play Nuwa. We'll keep watching to see. But that Hercules will get picked up, and that's the kind of pick I expected to see early on here in this draft. You got a Loki who you don't want to be able to just camp your lane. Earth doesn't like to get camped, he's got that extra tank stats. He can really brawl with the best of them, so I don't hate a pickup like that. Not the strongest top 2 for KTG, but they also haven't revealed too much about their draft just yet. Whereas old and new, that Odin pick is still available. That Ama that you were mentioning is still available, and it looks like that is something that is attractive to them. Doesn't necessarily have to go towards solo, but you already have Loki locked in, so that's probably where I would slot it. And the Jing Wei. So a lot of late game damage here for old and new. Doesn't seem like they have too much early pressure, which KTG can look to exploit here.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you try to really force the early pressure. We've seen the Ares on her combo at least be attempted. That's still on the table for sure. Usually CERN is the pick. I think CERN Ares on her Ares, pick which one you want, whatever one you're comfortable with, or even, go maybe a Bacchus here. I don't know. You need a little bit more front line against this, but you could just try to counter the late game presence of the Jing Wei and the Amaterasu. Maybe you try to win this one in the first 10 minutes, if you will, like we see a lot of these drafts end up being. It ends up being if someone prioritizes late game, you see the other team go the exact opposite way. Ares does get locked in here and still figuring out their 4th pick.
I mean, it's either CERN or Ares, or CERN on her, I would think, to try and go into that duo lane, unless of course you're playing Nuwa ADC, which has some viability at this point. I wouldn't look to it myself,
but we must do our best to teach them anyway.
With that Athena, probably Athena jungle, still one of the most popular roles that Athena has been played in recently. Very impactful. Not exactly that early game pressure we've been looking for, but hey, it's got some good setup and it pulls beads for the Ares ult, so not going to be a bad look there. I'm going to assume we're holding that ADC pick for last because it's not as if Onher or CERN are going to get locked in here for old and new. They're going to go for the Anubis, who traditionally, yes, is like super solid late game damage, but as far as I'm concerned, I think Anubis is just like an all points of the game powerhouse. Like at level 5, he's ready. He's got great clear at level like 1 to 2, and then it just gets better from then on out. So I'm never going to be mad about the Anubis. Question is, are they still looking for a support? If so, it's got to be something like Ymir, right? Like that's going to be probably the best option you have. Good matchup into Ares. The walls are good, but it looks like they just want some extra sustain as well as that same level of CC that a Ymir could provide. So not a bad look. A pretty squishy team here for old and new, though. I mean, Ama and Baron, they can get tanky, but it seems to me like they are just trying to prioritize farming and objective damage. With Anubis, Jingwei, and Ama, they can really shred through a Gold Fury.
Yeah, I think at least as far as CC goes, feels like KTG just have the better of it. You have access to a couple of different forms of it, right? You got the cripple, you got the knock up, you have the driving strike stun, you have Athena's taunt, you have the on her impale. I mean, you do have the wrap, you do have life of the party and Baron's combos on his stuns for sure, and Amaterasu's ult, but again, you know, it's kind of like your CC's kind of in very situational places on old and new, whereas KTG, I feel, have it more readily available to them. So in that department, it seems like KTG might have the better of them there, but like you said, prioritizing the farm, getting those picks, and just really solid picks all around, really. And I don't think KTG really went for like full on like early game potential, but I do like this composition of I love the on her Ares. I think that's a great combination. And like you said, the Athena in the jungle just gives you so much mobility, and that global presence will always be a threat. So this is an interesting matchup for sure. But Trelly, I always like asking you, who do you think actually won?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely leaning towards KTG just draft-wise. I'm already coming into this matchup leaning towards old and new just by tenure alone, which doesn't really mean a lot in SMITE 2, right? You just because you played a lot of SMITE 1 does not mean that you have that same level of knowledge in SMITE 2. But I've watched old and new. I know that they know how to play a map, they know how to farm, and they know how to team fight. So, you know, as far as draft goes, I definitely feel like KTG got the easier comp to execute on. Like, Athena taunt, like Herc pull, Ares pull, like that's your setup. It's very linear. It's not hard to mess up unless you're Herc. Like hitting that pull pretty consistently can be difficult, but you only need to land one of them. Whereas old and new, I'm thinking about their initiation, and it's pretty much just going to be Baron or Ama. Like you don't really have any other way to just kickstart a fight. You could be looking towards Anubis. The Anubis wrap is decent, but if Anubis is that close and he's trying to like initiate for his squad, that usually means he can get dove just as easy, which can be kind of scary. So just ease of execution alone goes to KTG, and that says a lot, right? If you don't have to worry about how are we going to start this fight, how are we going to go over to an objective, that helps you out. But as I already alluded to, old and new, with this Ama passive, with Jingwei crits, and with Anubis damage, they can absolutely blow through an objective like so fast. So ward coverage is going to be very important. You got to make sure you know, hey, is Gold Fury, are they up right now? Are they near gold? Can they teleport over? Let's keep our eyes on solo. Like there's a lot of variables that you have to watch out for, because old and new, they can sneak in a couple seconds and then just go back to farming, which if they get late game, I think old and new's comp wins hands down. Like full itemization, Loki, Jingwei, Anubis, like they are going to have a field day if they get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's nasty damage for sure. I think early on, too, in the team fights, the thing that really matters for old and new is prioritization on your targets, making sure you are taking down, you know, the biggest threats on the board, because there's just so much front line on KTG. And I do like you were saying it before, but it's kind of hard to actually get set up in the early team fights when you don't have all of that damage online. That's where I'm kind of looking at Anubis to kind of be in the fray on those team fights, because if you have him there, I think you get that necessary burst early on to help out the rest of your team. Obviously, Loki can be as well. So, I mean, this could easily just snowball in old and new's favor if they play their cards right. But like you said, it comes down to the gameplay, and I know leaning towards old and new because of that legacy. I know you say it doesn't matter, SMITE 2 is a new game, but it absolutely still matters. That experience will absolutely carry you at least a little bit farther. But hey, you know, that's why it's old and new. The new could come in and show you that your experience only matters so much. So I think we're about ready to get into the game. KTG versus old and new here in the EMEA Group B. the very first match getting started. We do have another one going on off air right now, and we'll be showing and updating you guys on how the group is going throughout the day.
Always got to keep those updates rolled. Make sure you're not missing any of the SMITE action. And I always look a second we spawn into a game. First of all, I look at the relics, but second of all, I look at, hey, are there 5 people running at any buffs? You know, that's usually something that you got to keep your eye for in early first blood. Does not seem to be happening currently. There is a bit of a grouping there for KTG, but I think they're more so just checking out the lay of the land, making sure that no one's doing anything fishy. Nothing too spectacular going on role wise. Everyone kind of landed up where we thought. Got the Athena jungle on the other side, which I love to watch. You have not a lot of respect towards the Ares though. That's something that I would have expected more from old and new here. We got an Aegis from Dutch Whisper. We have one set of beads there towards Matthew, but besides that, no one really caring about that level of CC. And of course, you can pick up your own beads. Like, that's not a problem. I do expect Lycane and maybe even Game Hunter to grab that active item beads, but you can't expect to be next to your tanks all the time. So that means that bodes well there for BAM. And then of course the, you know, Oniville as well. They have a lot of CC here. Pay attention to that lockdown. It could open up some doors.
Yeah, very standard start. EMEA usually known for, or at least how it's looked in Founders Series so far this season, is go in for the invade, at least look. These guys don't even look. And even yesterday, we only really saw one true invade. Everyone else is just kind of like poking around, seeing where exactly everyone's positioned, see if anybody's looking for anything cheeky. And it's actually an early damage here on this mid lane as well. They're taking a little bit of time to get there, but yeah, no problem early. You get those brews and health. The duo's in a little bit of trouble here on KTG. Taking a ton of damage. Nothing BAM could do about it. Lycane will get the first kill of the game. First blood going down to old and new. And that's not how you wanted to start if you're KTG.
No, that's definitely one of the benefits. And now, speaking of, they're not done, man. That's already a kill for Loki. You got the vanish back. A slow might be enough. It depends. Does Dutch Whisper have any damage? No, he doesn't. That's going to be just the second kill of the game. And that's why you have to watch out in duo lane specifically, because you can really get a ton of pressure by hitting level 2 first, not to mention the Baron's Brew. That's something you have to watch out for. Well, it's essentially a second ability, right? Where you don't expect, like, oh, they're level 2, they only have 2 things to do. No, they've got a little bit of extra burst that maybe you weren't ready for, and that ended up paying off over in duo and then again over in mid lane. Not to mention the relics are down now. You gotta watch out for the regank potential, because they might just continue to get aggressive over in duo. Like that,
Still getting a ton of damage out. Yeah, it just completely locked them. Great targeting as well. And where I thought that on her Ares would be good for early pressure, they're actually getting out pressured right now by this Baron Jingwei combo, and well, that's proven to be difficult. But that's exactly what old and new want. You know, you don't have that same frontline advantage like we talked about. So if you can get in there early, you're gonna delay them getting their, you know, items online that make them a little more tankier. You'll be able to push a little bit harder, and then they can really burst down objectives like you were talking about in the pregame, Trelly. So it's really about a perfect start for old and new, about as perfect as you could hope for. And even here, the Amaterasu able to get out this Hercules. Every time we go over there, he's forcing Hercules right back into the lane.
That's surprising as well, because Ama really should get out pressured a bit. It's not as if Herc has a lot of clear, and Dutch Whisperer might need a little bit of help. Well-timed Aegis, but it doesn't matter. It's not Dutch Whisperer who's in trouble, and they're killing it too. Oh, Jorby. Listen, I'm not going to say that you jinxed anyone, but well, what you say at the start of the day? Oh, no, man.
Killing spree. That's rude.
This you're killing me.
Busted on him. Game Hunter, I guess experience does matter. Oh, they're like, oh yeah, Hercules wins this matchup early. Bro, it's Game Hunter. Sorry, you lose.
No, I was more so talking about how you said there was some stomps yesterday, and we're thinking we're not going to see him. Oh, there absolutely was. I'm just saying, you may have cast or cursed him, man. I'm already seeing some stomping going on.
Hey, I'm just saying, I didn't say it wouldn't be a stomp. I was just hoping.
Well, hey,
my bad.
So far, I talked about how late game is where old and new want to get to. They are not about to do this. Well, we'll find out. Dutch Whisper, he doesn't even have ult here, so it would be difficult to find the kill without it. But man, Krat, this Loki 3-0, not the start you want to see. There are still ways to find kills. Again, they don't have beads. Like the CC from KTG could be lethal, but doesn't seem like they're going to be trying to step up too far.
I mean, they're already usually don't point out like a 3K lead being massive. 4 minutes in though, you have a 3K gold lead. That's a little ridiculous.
Yep.
And Game Hunter is just shredding. He's just getting absolutely no success trying to actually get any kind of fight in here. And well, Oniville will pop a rock, and that's a frustration ult right there. You're just getting absolutely shredded still. There's nothing you can do here. Game Hunter's got your number. Driving strike gets you under the tower. Only takes one little hurt push to twig the tide. Here comes the ult as well. Game Hunter on the run. Game Hunter deleted. And that will help out a little bit. Great play there from Oniville.
Man, we're all just diving tower at this point. Here comes the life of the party. Should be able to confirm the kill if they have the damage. Dutch Whisperer picks it up. And that was a little bit out of range. Unfortunately, the death case did not get any value. But I you know what? I like where your head's at. Trying to translate one kill into two. Definitely not a bad idea. No real room to collapse, so just going in for the red buff. But hey, that was a clutch pull. I was talking about if Oniville was able to, chain together some CC, we might see some action. And Game Hunter already punished for playing just a bit too far forward.
Yeah, you win it so dominantly, and overconfidence can kill you so quickly, no matter how hard you think you're winning in Smite. Everybody who's played the game knows exactly what I'm talking about there. You don't have to even watch pro games to know having a game in hand, you can watch it completely melt. But it even happens at this level. You see that overconfidence fight. It doesn't matter, he's gonna have to do it a little more than just one time, and the ult from Game Hunter just got him! And Oniville's not having a great time right now. Goes down in a heap. Game Hunter has his way in the solo lane.
Yeah, one kill is not going to be enough to keep down this Ama. It's an unfortunate start if you are Oniville, because Game Hunter is kind of just running the show on the right side of the map, which also affects Nizils. I mean, this Athena is going to want to play on the right side of the map, because remember, duo lane got thwarted early game, which means, hey, I'm probably not looking left. Maybe I'll look to the right. Maybe I'll look to play through solo, and that does not seem too possible either. Nizils pretty much has to try and defend the hose speed, but now the aggression comes through.
Forces the ult as well. And the life of the party just gonna suck him right in. Dutch Whisperer will make sure that the kill goes through. KTG getting invaded in their own jungle, getting their buff stolen, old and new. And I mean, this is... You're right, Trelly. You're right. I think I did curse it because this is somehow more dominant than both of the games yesterday.
Hey, listen.
Opening 7 minutes.
We've all cast a curse once or twice in our day, so don't sweat it. I think these guys, they still have room to come back, but Game Hunter has done double anyone's damage in the whole lobby, and we're 7 minutes in. Like, 6K is a little bit ridiculous, and it doesn't seem like he wants to stop anytime soon. Ooh, Nizils, I don't think you wanted to be in the grass there. Does anyone have the chase down potential? No, they're just going to go in for the Queen Naga. Definitely a good objective to grab, but I would have thought they'd try and chase that one a little bit harder. Regardless, we're looking towards objectives here. I want to see Gold Fury pulled probably after this back. When you have the Queen Naga minions to tank for you, even though they did just receive some nerfs, they're a bit less tanky. Still, plenty of damage towards those structures, and when you have a lead like this, there's really only one way to go with it until Fire Giant spawns in. So I do want to see a Gold Fury pull in the next, like, definitely before 10 minutes. Like, you're actively throwing your lead. I mean, not throwing it, but you are not growing it as you should if you're not pulling gold here.
It's like it seems to be a trend whenever you get this dominant lead. But they are actually going to go towards the Gold Fury. Old and new do know how to play Smite. It's been a bit of a struggle sometimes. We haven't seen a Gold Fury go down until like the 16th minute, but this is a proper time to get this Gold Fury, especially when you have been dominating every single lane. Especially Oniville's just popping up and down. Nothing he can do about it. He knows he's absolutely dead. And the ult, that's only going to be a trickle in. And Game Hunter's like, fine, Athena, let's dance. And Athena does not want to go to the ball. You
do not want to ult with Athena to someone who's fed and then have them die as you get there. And now Game Hunter's just trying to... Oh, it's not a 1v2 because guess what? That Whisper's here. See you later. Do they have ultimate? They do. They definitely do. Death Gaze is coming through. Not enough to find another one, but man, this is not KTG's side of the map anymore, Jorby. This belongs to old and new. Anything the light touches is theirs, and so far that's the whole map.
Yeah, I can already see the game 2 picks and bans. I see Amaterasu banned immediately by KTG, and then I mean, look, every time they've tried to ban a solo laner anywhere across the SMITE 2 Founder Series, it has not worked. It's not the solo laner that's the problem. It's across the board right now, and I mean, what more can you say about how old and new have played it, right? The duo lane goes in, they get the early kill. You have everybody in every single lane doing their job, outplaying their opponent, and there's just nowhere on the board, nowhere on the map that KTG can look at and say, okay, we're winning this. Let's try to push this advantage, because there is no advantage right now. They are absolutely getting dominated. And it's got to be hard to try to play back from that. Maybe before that last team fight, you could try to play towards the next objective, but you're quickly approaching they're almost up 10K, 10 minutes in. What are you supposed to do about it when you're just getting ulted by the Dutch Whisperer? You're hearing voices in your head, and it's Anubis deleting you off the map. Dutch Whisperer gets the double kill, and they're gonna keep chasing you down. You get stunned, deleted, another kill, another frag, and KTG have no answer.
Yeah, like I said, your jungle does not belong to you anymore. You can't step up. Game Hunter is farming underneath the tier 2 at this point. Pharaoh's Curse tells me he wants to die. Probably can't get the kill underneath the tier 2. But there's no Gold Fury to go for. There's no Pyromancer to go for. I mean, old and new, this is their only play, is to group up and just push towers, because there's not enough farm on the map for them. Like, they are getting too much farm at this point. 10,000 gold in 10 minutes. That is a ridiculous pace to try and keep. Once this tower goes down, that'll pretty much push them over that threshold. My goodness, Shorby. I mean, you know, I got to be a realist here, KTG. It is definitely difficult to come back, but there's a lot of shutdowns on the map, right? I mean, Krat's worth a lot of gold here. If you're able to grab a kill off of Dutch Whisperer, that could be big. Like, these do have to be considered, unfortunately. You don't want to be anywhere near these guys right now, so shutting them down, it doesn't seem too possible.
No, why would you go in the jungle over there? No vision. You know you've gotten, like, you kind of isolated yourself from your team. I feel like you kind of deserve that one a little bit. Like,
no, you're right. You're right.
You have to play the vibes of the game, and like you can't just walk into that jungle with no vision. You gotta think Loki's sitting there.
First of all, I've been saying Krat. You think it's Kratos?
I think, yeah, it's Kratos for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, missed that one.
I mean, I don't blame you. You know, the horseshoe is a little, you know. Yeah,
that's a try.
I wasn't sure at first either.
Yeah, but this is a frustrating situation to be in. I catch myself walking in like when my team's down, and I just walk in to go get some farm, because you feel so bad. Being like so much itemization down, so much gold down. You're like, dude, I just want to get like, maybe they forgot about one of our camps. And first of all, they have not. Old and new has been on top of just about every single spawn timer throughout the map. But you are right. If you're walking into the jungle without vision, you're kind of asking for it at this point.
It's like okay if you have someone there, right? But you were actually walking away from your team. But it is ridiculous that every minute their lead increases 1K. That's actually insane, because I mean, a kill doesn't net you that much gold. Jungle camps do net you a little bit more, but that means you're out farming them like 2 to 1 on the jungle camps. Probably more than that, actually. I have to do the exact math on that one. But I mean, it all started with that duo lane kill, and then it really snowballed from there. We've got a lot of action from Game Hunter here. We've got a lot of ults from Dutch Whisperer. We have a lot of kills from this Anubis. I mean, talk about the kills, don't talk about the kills, whatever. It's the stuff after the stuff that matters. But 17 to 1, I mean, jeez, dude.
Yeah, this one, I'm not going to say it's over, but it looks very close to over. There's always the comeback potential, but your tier 1s are gone. They're an afterthought. All the gold available for them is in the pockets of old and new. I do think we're in position to see a 15-minute fire giant like the second it spawns just pull, and I'm hoping that's the idea here from old and new. We don't want to keep KTG in this game any longer than they need to be. They are unfortunately just not able to find any sort of success across the map currently. Pyromancer's up, fire giant spawns here shortly. It's time to back and look towards the right side of the map for old and new.
Yeah, old, new, and Swiss, they did not have a good time. They were out in 4 rounds, right? I mean, their first match, granted, was against Team Risk. Good luck, 0-2. They did beat Threat Level Midnight 2-1. And then rounds 3 and 4, though, they lose to two teams that, or no, they lost to Bills Goons, who also qualified for the playoffs, but then they ended up dropping to DDK, who we watched yesterday, 0-2. So nothing really from Swiss really was an indicator that they were going to start this hard. But again, KTG, they're coming from the open bracket, not from Swiss. So the KTG getting some of this valuable experience against a team that has a lot more of it on the table. And they're definitely getting XP diff right now in the lobby. It has been a difficult one, and Game Hunter is happy to just sit here, wait for the rotation. It will be coming soon, and he didn't even lose half his health there. There's just no fight in KTG on that Amaterasu.
Pyromancer goes down. Fire Giant spawns in here in 8 seconds. Will KTG try and mount the defense is the question, though. It seems like it. They're all on this side of the map except for Red Panda, who is just trying to get some extra farm beforehand. I mean, Fire Giant needs to be pulled immediately. The question is, what are your steal potential, right? You've got a Runic Bomb and Sunder if you're old and new. And KTG, they've got 2 Sunders to their name, but no real blink, no real way to initiate. It wouldn't be easy. I wonder if they're even going to step up. At the moment, it's just Onyville who's around, but seems like unless he throws a boulder, which maybe he does, he's getting close, but it has to be right away. Oh, he can't do it.
Yeah, it can only driving strike, and ult's going to come out as well, but this just may be Athena going to their death as Life of the Party comes out, gets the stuns, and I mean, why'd you even show up? My goodness. Nazils goes down, everybody goes down. This tier 2's going down. Charlie, we're not even at 16 minutes. There's still 10 seconds to go to get to the 16-minute mark, and we're talking about these Phoenixes going down.
One of the biggest stomps we ever saw, Jorby, was a 19-minute game, and we are on pace. So this push could end the game if they find too many picks. There goes looking to the back line. Kratos finds one. Chain it into a couple more, and that Titan may be the call. Oh, my goodness, no way. Pre-17 minutes? They might have it.
They're going for it. Well, the speed run any percent. Gonna find yourself near the top of the leaderboards here, not even moving. Everyone's just sitting still. They spawn, but can you actually kill anybody? The Titan's health melting a little bit, but so are their health bars. My God, everybody gets deleted. And there you go, old and new. One of the quickest games of Smite you'll ever see in a casual game or in a pro game, anywhere. Wow, that was something. 1-0 goes to old and new. Sheesh.
16-24. I mean, that is a ridiculous time to try and beat. That's a ridiculous pace to set in general. But yeah, old and new, they came to play. KTG, you picked an early game composition. You were up against a late game composition, and you couldn't find the early aggression, which is unfortunate. But hey, there's always game 2. Short memory, and we try again in game number 2.
We do try again. You might as well just wipe that one from your memory if you're KTG. And we'll see if that short-term memory loss helps them in game 2, but find out after the break.
To your thirsty beach, I'm gonna visit your dreams. You can see you here, you know that she's near when you sleep. I be under your bed and I hear you fear. Shake a thirsty beat, I'm a thirsty beat, real thirsty, like a snitch you need. Now wake up, wanna hear you scream. It's not a dream. Run for your life, I hunt you hard, you can chase me, but I make you starve. You're a punk bitch. Just a punk bitch. Run for your life, I seek you hide, you can chase me, cause I'm right behind. You're a punk bitch. Just a punk bitch. Run for your life, run for your life, run for your life, run for your life. You're a punk bitch. Just a punk bitch. Run for your life, run for your life, run for your life, run for your life. You're a punk bitch. Just a punk bitch. Shoot me, you can't afford it. I am the pilot, you're just a tourist. I threw a decoy in High Valley, and you'll be standing a while, so don't panic. No, I better than dancing myself. Better be safe to
Welcome, folks. We are back getting ready for game number 2 between Old and New and KTG. But before we get into it, I do just want to say, remember, if you miss anything that goes on in the pro games, if you can't catch the games live, you can always go to the SMITE Pro YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. You got the Inside APAC to figure out what's going on there. LATAM, wherever. SMITE too long, you didn't watch it? Guess what? We got you there too. This Week in SMITE 2 is there as well. Make sure you subscribe to SMITE Pro on YouTube. There's got tons of older content on there as well, with some old interviews from pros. I think recently Malum also ended up doing an interview with the with some representatives from the OCE region as well. So if you want to get to know more players and more organizers from the regions in SMITE 2, definitely check that out on the SMITE Pro YouTube channel. But Trelly, we're about to get back, and we really didn't sit here for very long. What did you say? 16 minutes and 24 seconds.
24. Yep, that was a time of death on that one for KTG, unfortunately. But Old and New, hey, if you're an Old and New fan, you got to see a lot of blood, but not a lot of gameplay, I guess would be the way to describe that one. They came out swinging Jorby from minute 1, and they didn't stop until minute 16 or so. So they definitely came out and outclassed KTG on this one.
I got to finish one item.
Oh man,
one.
Yeah. It's like, I don't think that there is one like single thing that we can hone in on here. This is one of those games where at the end of the day, you're probably just saying like, hey, that was all not great. Like, let's not beat ourselves up too much. Like, you know, you talked about banning the AMA, but what about the 6-0 Jingwei? What about the 9-0 Anu? But, you know, like, I don't think there's just one answer here, right? Like, they kind of have to just scratch the whole game plan and start anew would be my recommendation, because this is one of those games where you kind of forget it happened and you jump in a game 2 with a newfound sense of confidence, hopefully.
And I mean, again, remember, KTG, they came from the open bracket. They didn't get a lot of that Swiss play that a bunch of these other teams did. And I mean, we talked about the experience on this Old and New team. Like, that is really going to come into effect for a team like KTG. And look, sometimes you play a game, you get smacked in the mouth. It happens. The nice thing for KTG, though, is that, you know, this isn't the end all for them in this match. You know, they got 3 other matches to play in this group stage. So this, if anything, can be a valuable learning experience. As, you know, look, getting crushed doesn't feel good, but hopefully during that game, they recognize, look, they got a 10K lead 10 minutes in. Let's just think about how we actually approach this game in game number 2. What went wrong in those first 5 minutes? Because they had a 4K gold lead in 4 minutes in. I mean, there was just simply no coming back from that. Like, at that point, you're not talking about a compositional issue. You're talking about a straight up, these players are better than you issue. So KTG, you're definitely going to have to find something a lot different in your gameplay, let alone the picks.
Yeah, I think we saw a kill in duo, followed by a double kill in mid, followed by a solo kill in solo, and then another kill in mid. It was like 6-0 by 3 minutes. So There's a lot to correct there. Maybe just draft safety. I mean, that's always an option, right? Things like Kukulkan, who can just clear from a safe distance. You drop the nado, you go under base. You know, there are ways to just sort of elongate the game and sort of stall out until late game, which may be more KTG speed here. But yeah, if old and new are firing on all cylinders like we just watched, it's going to be very hard to try and, you know, knock them off their rhythm. Taking away some of their picks is a great way to start. You know, like you don't have to ban everything. You only have one ban at the moment. So, you know, trying to grab away the Loki, trying to take away this Anubis, there are ways to put a thorn in the side of old and new that is not just like let's up our gameplay like the highest echelon right away. That's not exactly possible.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I was leaning. And as we get into the picks and bans, I was particularly thinking about Loki, who is such a problem. But, you know, they tried the Athena jungle, KTG did, and it really didn't work out. So maybe you go more traditional here, like you're kind of saying, like Kukulkan in mid, right? Loki in jungle, like try to take away some of these high value picks, because you're probably going to ban the Fenrir here again. You don't want him, but maybe you do just grab that Loki and then GG, you go next, and just try to play picks that you're comfortable with. I think that's the only thing you can do. Sorry, Zeus is who they banned the first time. It was old and new that banned Fenrir, but KTG get first ban, first pick this time.
And interestingly here, though, at the very least, they are leaving that option open, so old and new can decide if they're worried about something like the Fenrir or if they want, you know, a different pick on. I don't think there's anything that KTG played last game that old and new is like that worried about, given that level of, you know, domination that they had. So probably just same, run it back, ban the Fenrir, then you can worry about KTG taking away something like the Loki. May be the call there, but I don't know, man. I'm trying to think of what KTG could value the most from a first pick selection. And I truthfully think Loki would be that best option. If they don't take it here, then clearly they've got a different game plan going ahead. And again, it's not just one thing, right? There's a lot that they would have to shift up here to switch the momentum out of old and new's favor. But again, I've seen crazier things. So let's see.
Please don't pick Nuwa.
I want to see the Loki, man. Like that is my or Ama. I will take Loki or Ama here.
I was fine. Yeah.
And that's about it. Maybe even an Odin. But there we go. Hey, that looks good. I like it. Lock it. Do that.
Do the right thing. There you go. Now old and new. I genuinely believe, like we've been saying this whole time, I don't think this one will be one in the picks. I think KTG have to do what they can to make themselves comfortable, but I think this is a gameplay difference. So I think old and new, you know, you've got tons of options open to you. I don't think it matters where Game Hunter goes in that solo lane. I think he's going to be a difficult one for Oniville to handle no matter what, and the Jingwei immediately going to get locked in here to get that, you know, the greatest ADC we have so far in SMITE 2, at least according to everyone here. Her late game potential is just too much to leave her off the table.
I wonder if Baron is going to be where old and new looks to go here next, though, or not necessarily in this pick slot, but just in that duo lane in particular. There's always an option for KTG to try and take it away, but it seems like old and new are going with what worked. And what worked last game, of course, was Dutch Whisperer on the Anubis. And, you know, from very early on, the Jingwei was getting active, so not going to get mad at that one. But here's where KTG has the chance to try and put a thorn in old and new's side. They could pretty convincingly just lock the Baron and the Ama here if that's something they wanted to do. It depends on if they feel confident or comfortable on those gods, but it would
just as I shine
force old and new to change up their play style here. So they've done one of those things and they grab the Ama. Now, what support is going to be top of the tier list for them? That's the question. Do they even like playing Baron support? Those are the things I need to consider. But Nuwa clearly didn't have a great time into Anubis, so a different mid laner should be high on their prio. And they do go to the Cuckoo, so safe farm. I love all the adaptations that KTG have made. They've listened to everything that we have said. So far,
it's
so
kind of crazy
good.
how this has worked.
Yeah,
you started with the Cuckoo like before, or not even before the break. I think it was right when we came back. You're like, play the Cuckoo, and well, here he is.
Some gods will never learn.
Okay, Athena
but we must
will get
do our
locked in.
best
It
to
was
teach them
KTG
anyway.
running the Athena jungle last time, so maybe Athena jungle here. I could definitely see Athena Jingwei for sure, but I don't know if that's how they want to play it or not. And we'll see. This next pick will probably inform us of which way they go. You still have an opening in that solo lane as well. I'm really curious what Game Hunter's going to do now that Ama's been taken away. But I think that Game Hunter probably's got a deep enough god pool. I'm not really worried about what he's going to pick.
I'm thinking Game Hunter goes the Herc just to flex, right? He's like, oh, he's like, you got owned in the Amma v Herc matchup. I'm about to do it to you. Could be support solo, could be support jungle. We're going to wait one more pick to decide where that Mordred goes for old and new. And now KTG assumingly has their jungle, their solo, and their mid lane. Do we go back to the on her? Yes, we will. That's going to be locked in here. And honestly, I don't think that Ares has a terrible matchup if they were looking for a support, but I do want to see a switch up if possible, and we will see just that in the Bacchus. So Bacchus on her, definitely a lot of pressure early on. Wasn't as if they didn't have pressure before in that lane, but we'll see how that one goes. And with the Susano locked in, I'm thinking that's Athena support, Mordred solo, and of course Susano in the jungle, which has a decent matchup into Loki early on. Late game though, Loki definitely gets the better end of it. So maybe old and new just try and, you know, second verse same as the first, just run it down early game, and they don't have to worry about what happens at level 20 because no one will hit that mark, at least ideally for them.
Yeah, KTG though, I think you do exactly what you needed to do at this stage of the game, but it does come down to that gameplay, because last time we were saying, you know, early game potential is huge for KTG, but then they were getting pushed immediately. And I think that's kind of the experience difference for me, is like when you go in thinking you have the comp advantage early, for a team like KTG, without that experience, you're not thinking they're just going to go aggressive on you with the comp that they have, especially with Jing Wei there. But the experience tells you, look, pressure matters no matter what god I'm playing, and you're just going to have to respond to our aggression. And if you can't do that, then your health bars are gone. Goodbye, see you later. So to me, I'm really looking at that duo lane early. How do KTG actually handle that now that they know how old and new like to play it with this Jing Wei? And I love the Athena pick with it as well. Really going to maximize that damage potential. But with Bacchus here, I think that can help throw a wrench into things. So I'm excited to see what kind of gameplay difference we'll see here for KTG.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that Bacchus it shows some adaptations that they have made. Not only that, but also the fact that you got to remember every single buff from KTG was under fire the second spawn. There was no invade, but the second spawn of those buffs, old and new, was on pretty consistently the second they spawned in. There was not a lot of uncontested farm. Every bit of farm that KTG got that game, and it wasn't a lot, they had to earn, and they had to step up and fight for. So with that being said, it's not just going to be, you know, I talked about the Cuckoo can like clear the wave safely and stay away. You do have to venture into the jungle to get your own farm, and that's where you're going to run into the people of old and new, where you don't really want to let them run away with all of your buff camps because you're in the same position you were in game number 1. So I don't hate the idea of just early grouping from KTG. Like, hey, there's going to be 4 people on this red and speed. Everyone get over here. There's going to be 4 people on purple buff. You know, like, let's rotate to this. Like, they may have to just have the numbers advantage constantly if they can't win those 1v1s, which, you know, considering how game number 1 went, I don't think is a over analysis. I think it's better to say, listen, we're not winning our 1v1s here. Let's just stack the deck in our favor. We're going to get a little bit behind doing so, but at least we're going to contest farm, and that's kind of important in a situation like this.
Well, let's see how it goes. The game is ready, so let's go ahead and hop into the arena and begin again. It did not take very long for old and new to impose their will onto KTG. And, well, pressure either makes you mincemeat or makes you a diamond. Which will KTG be here in game number 2? It may take a couple matches before a diamond is formed. But we just may see an invade maybe from old and new. A little bit of a group here, but maybe they're expecting, I think, just waiting to see if KTG come into their jungle. It looks like everything will be about standard. I don't think anyone's going to take the risk.
Yeah, probably the smart call here. I mean, I don't hate the idea of just going for like an upset play. It's just ring around the rosy to start off the game. Hey, maybe this is the
it's a circle
ritual.
Pit.
Yeah. And Zills has Radiant Loki, by the way. Well done, man. Love that Radiant skin. Hi, Kane. Just kind of watching this pre-game ritual go down.
Here is KTG in their natural habitat. Here you can see them doing their ritual where they prepare for battle. It's okay.
Doesn't get caught out. He's got Sunder, so he's trying to steal this speed buff right under the nose of Zills, which would you know, be annoying, but you know, let's see if he can pull it off. I'm kind of curious. This is the only interesting thing happening on the map currently. No one else is invading, so I mean, you gotta let him do the buff a little bit first. Okay, I thought he was just gonna walk up. Oh boy, he's got to get this.
Missed a hit there. Trying to pull him off.
It's gonna get close.
This is not looking good for KTG. Oh, the steal, but you're gonna die for it. Lycane, yep, you got trapped.
He didn't even steal it.
Zills
picked it up.
Wait,
Zills picked it up.
Oh. I thought he took it. Looked like he took it.
I thought he did too, but Zills clearly has it. Yeah, he definitely didn't even steal it.
We don't know anything.
What a terrible start, man. Like,
oh man.
I mean, you not only you give first blood over to Red Panda, but you that invade was useless. Lycane got nothing for it. Hey, I you know what? I did say if you're worried about your buffs, just bring the whole squad. They brought 3 to speed and it worked out. That's a good start. This is looking better.
Don't get caught though, as Dutch Whisperer will certainly make you work for it, but get caught inside the NATO. You willingly blink inside the NATO to get the kill. And there you go, Kratos. No question marks on that kill. And KTG immediately get put on the back foot. And yep, that's Anubis and Kratos making quick work of that. Nice rotation there from Kratos coming into support. That looked like it might have gotten ugly for Dutch Whisperer. And just as soon as things looked okay for KTG, it did come off the misplay for Old and New. And right back on the right foot for Old and New.
Yeah, I mean, hey, as support, you're going to be able to catch up eventually. Not going to be the end of the world there, but the combo of Dutch Whisperer and Kratos has been pretty disgusting. And they've been winning that 2v2 constantly, so I don't hate it at all. Once again, Game Hunter still an absolute menace, and guess what? Kratos is in duo lane now, trying to find the kill on the beam, but Flop is already, so no kills going to spill over in duo. And now I'm just thinking about what safety can be awarded. This could be a nice kill on the Game Hunter, and it certainly is. That's out to Nils, man. Great place, right? At the right time, picks up the second kill of the game. Already, man, this is looking a lot better than game number 1.
Yeah, it really is. Nazils, you take that Loki, you need to make sure you get all the value out of it as well. A nice response on the rotation from Susanoo as well in the duo lane to go in. You take advantage of what was looking like a slow but steady loss and decline for Oniville. Go and get him a little bit of support. Try to lock Game Hunter down, because if you can force late game, he will definitely be a problem once those rotations start. And they're able to force it out once again. So KTG, much better start 3 minutes in. Now, if you're just tuning in, you're like, well, it's only 3 minutes in. There was a 3K gold lead for Old and New at this point in the game, in game number 1. It's looking way better for them, and we'll see how they can progress from here, but they've definitely given themselves a much better chance at this start.
Absolutely have. And I don't want to see any slow up here from Zills. I mean, the second you're able to get level 5, this Loki needs to continue to find some aggression, maybe even onto solo lane in particular. I mean, if you can body block Game Hunter's ultimate, he doesn't really have that much safety. A little bit of an invade attempt onto the purple buff does not end up going through. Maybe a fight towards speed is the call, because guess what? Dutch Whisperer is walking up, hits the wrap. Just wants the buff though, unless he's got the laser eyes. And he does. Zills cannot get out in time. And Dutch Whisperer's got no problem finding that one. We'll trade over in solo, but there's really nothing else to go on here. It looks like unless there's a scrap towards blue buff, no junglers are going to be getting active over here.
Nice Game Hunter. Body block any of those extra hits. Get to keep your buff. And hey, it's not going to make him feel any better, but Smite 1 Anubis doesn't get that kill.
Yeah, true.
I absolutely love the burst on his ult now, though. It feels really good.
100%.
A little bit of a scrap there in solo, but not having as much dominant success as Game Hunter was having. It does seem like he is still winning that lane pretty handily without the support. Nazils is coming over to take a little peek. And just a little off. Positioning is pretty good here from Game Hunter. He should be able to get out.
Yeah, I think he knew that was coming, or at the very least had the inkling that the aggression coming from Oniville was going to be enough to send someone over there, because he started running before that engagement got hairy. Not a bad play. You see a little bit of a attempt at a gank maybe in mid lane, but man, Dutch Whisper, he's got full soul gem online already. I just don't think it's easy to kill unless you have a little bit more damage. Here comes the attempt, but they didn't know Beam was in the gun. Well, maybe they can find something. But wow, it's so gone.
The NATO got thrown at him. He couldn't end up juking. He got knocked up. Dutch Whisperer, my goodness. You know, leading the ship if it's not Game Hunter, if it's not the duo lane. Well, okay, never mind Game Hunter. I'm sorry, bro. You know, it just took a little bit for you to get online. Oniville goes down. But Dutch Whisperer definitely leading the charge here with some nice rotations as well from Kratos. You talked about that Kratos-Dutch Whisperer duo. And how about this 5-minute Gold Fury after they get those kills? Old New showing you how to get it done here in the early game. That Gold Fury will go down. We get to increase that gold lead a little bit more as they get the first major objective of the game.
Yeah, I mean, despite the fact that KTG has 2 kills already, this is still looking very similar. The aggression has not stopped. Dutch Whisperer and Kratos have been comboing very well. And of course, there's a 3-level deficit in solo lane for Game Hunter, despite falling down early. So the farm diff has not went anywhere as well. KTG has shown that they are they're able to find some picks here and there when they group up, but doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be able to confirm their camps and, you know, transcend that boundary, that ever-growing threat of the lack of farm that they have. Has not stopped. But Purple and Speed are spawning here shortly. Does anyone from old and new head over to the left side of the map? It looks like Kratos might be. In fact, yes, he's definitely heading over there now. So maybe a bit of a scrap over in duo, but I don't know, man. Kratos is by himself here. He's getting collapsed on. He might not know this is happening.
Yeah, I think he immediately is trying to get out. He might have got the call because the rest of his team is collapsing down as well. Blinks out, has a little bit of support, and will be able to survive. Goodness for Matthew Deus surviving him, but Dutch Whisperer bursts down again. Excel not having a great time. Looking more like Microsoft Word as more bursts coming out here. Dutch Whisperer simply doesn't know how to not kill you. And Matthew Deus will actually get credit for that kill. Not very high on the health bars here. KTG could swing back around on it, but everybody's in full retreat. Bam will actually take Kratos down, leaping back out of it. We were saying old and new's health bars looking a little bit better, but unable to really capitalize. As Pursue the Weak comes out, nice dash, but it just was enough to get away from the ult. You're still gonna take a ton of damage if you're Oniville here, even with the 2 pop, but you're not gonna take a little bit of that chip damage. You're still gonna get pushed out, zoned out, farmed out.
You're right. Not bad at all. There was a kill that went through there for Beam, so I mean, it wasn't all terrible there for KTG, but I really thought that Kratos was going to be the target there. Just a well-timed blink, kind of knew the aggression was coming, was able to get the steal on Purple and escape for the time being, but the rest of the squad did show up as well. So old and new, they are playing like a well-oiled machine, all things considered. Even when they are making those aggressive plays, the rest of the team is never too far behind. But something that I've noticed, I mean, sure, there's a 3-level lead for Game Hunter, and that's rough. And there's a 2-level lead for Dutch Whisperer, and he's 4-0-3, and that's rough. But pretty much
only getting worse.
Pretty much even in the jungle, you know, Zills and Kratos, they're both level 7, right? That's not bad. It's all gonna be on this Loki. He's 1-4, which isn't fantastic. Speaking of not being fantastic, you don't want to get too close. Just barely misses the kill on the death gaze. And Zills, you do not want to get hit by a wrap here, but hey, this could be big. Or not.
Yeah, just go back under tower, no problem, and no way to actually push him back into you. So yeah, no kill for you there, KTG, but like you said, there are a couple things going right for KTG on this game, and that certainly wasn't true in game 1. So you'll take any kind of improvement where you get it. But here is Kratos waiting, biding his time, really big chilling. I don't even know.
I don't think he does. Yeah, he was kind of waiting to see if the dash would come through.
Jeez, doesn't even care. Throws the NATO, gets the kill. Goodbye. Wow, Kratos pays off. How about it? And meanwhile, KTG trying to trade on the other side, but the ult saves the day for now and almost actually took Red Panda down. And Beam will actually take down Lycane. And the ult as well. Matthews Deus will trade out on Beam. Go right down. It's the 1v1 onto the Loki. And a little bit of help from the On Her as well to bring down Matthews Deus. Things look okay for KTG. Not a complete loss here. Only 4K down, or 3.5K down really now here at the 10-minute mark, where this was a 10K lead at the 10-minute mark before. We're just going to point out everything that is not going wrong for KTG, because that's about all we can give them right now. But they're definitely winning some of these fights where they were just straight up losing before.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the right place at the right times when they're able to, you know, run that aggression here from old and new. I think Dutch Whisperer is still an absolute unit. You don't really want to get near the Anubis, but duo lane, they're able to find some action over there. Beam has been constantly trying to peel. Red Panda's 1-0-3, and that was a attempt on his life for sure. Zills, as long as he's able to keep trading out damage like he's been doing, it will help to thwart a little bit of that goal differential. Pursue the weak lands. Do you have the body block on the dash, or do you not even need it? You sure don't. Game Hunter picks up the solo kill and is level 12. So a 4-level deficit here. Man, Oniv just cannot find any farm on the right side of the map. The right side of the map, it belongs to Game Hunter.
I mean, you know, even if things are going okay in the duo lane, the mid lane, the solo lane, really not going KTG's way. That's a great ult, as the 9 wins can't help you before you get deleted again. Lycane and Kratos will pick up a couple of those kills. Kratos a little low. Beam will pick him up. Probably all they're going to get here, though. Not much more damage on the board. Onher can poke with the spear, but Dutch Whisperer will just beam you down with all of that burst and just get zoned out. Great job on the support as well here from Game Hunter. Comes in on the rotation, helps Dutch Whisperer get out of that one. So no trade for Oniville either. And that is another win on the team fight for Old and New. They'll get to take more of those camps as they invade the right side of the map.
Yeah, I was going to say the left side of the map would be nice. I mean, Gold Fury could be a possibility here soon, but it looks like they just want to take away as much farm as possible. Red Panda keeping that tower alive, definitely the right call to make here. But I mean, that scrap alone just shows that Old and New, they still have so much like confidence when walking through the jungle. Like they'll take an even fight, they'll take a not even fight, they will dive underneath the tower like it's nothing. But the Sunbeam's on the way to try and find some action onto Matthews Deus, and here comes Kratos as well. Not enough to start a scrap, but just remember, Fury could be where these guys decide to get active. Game Hunter's in some trouble here, doesn't have Pursue the Weak. That's done. Should definitely do it. And Nace Hills picks up the 3rd kill of the game. That's a big kill, Jorby. I mean, he was 3 levels ahead at a point.
Yeah, that was definitely huge, not just for Oniville, but Nazils continues to get that value out of this Loki. Over on this left side, Old and New are kind of hunting. They spotted the Kukulkan, thought they might be able to isolate him. As they force them back, they're actually going to melt this Gold Fury. And can Beam do anything about it? No, he decides, yep. He just watched it happen, decided, you know what, I'm not going to get it. And another Gold Fury falling to Old and New will help increase that gold lead a little bit further. So despite some things going right, you see those charts. There's the little spikes every now and again for KTG, but overall stock's pretty low for them.
That's the call for the time being. I mean, they still have time, and I do like the idea of just not contesting. Like you saw for a second there, there was an attempt at trying to defend, and then Red Beam thought better of it, and that's probably the right play to make here. I mean, you just don't have that much potential to go in for steals just yet, but the gold lead is not. Oh man, this death gaze is always just a tick off of killing Excel. 0-4, but not 0-5, at least for now, unless someone tries to dive the tower. Either way, KTG is trying to minimize losses here, right? They're not making any risky calls. This could be a chance to go in here, but the tower down. Yeah, probably smart. Leave Beam to die. You do not want to stick around.
Yeah, it's fine if he goes, but Nazils, you certainly cannot go. You're a big part of the potential comeback here. And the Red Panda has actually been playing pretty well, as at least matched Matthews Deus. And now Nazils finds it. It's all about patience when it comes to the jungling and picking your moments. Lycane goes down. And KTG, some little things start to go right. Nazils gets another kill. Kratos goes down. Yep, Pursue the Weak. We'll find one. And the ult for Kukulkan not gonna find the mark the way they want it to, but they're gonna still get those kills. Excel takes down Game Hunter, and KTG finally get a pick, but the Dutch Whisperer forces the Aegis on one. Will only get Oniville for his effort. Matthews Deus comes in as well, and Red Panda goes down. What looked like a team fight win for KTG ends up being really just a trade.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, man. I mean, Old and New are overstaying at times, and Nazils was 1-4. He is now 5-5 on this Loki, man. What a great switch up. KTG have shown they can adapt very quickly in the midst of battle. Red Panda unfortunately finds the first death of his gameplay so far. And don't get me wrong, It is still a fat gold lead in favor of old and new, but just the night and day switch up here between game number 1 and game number 2 for KTG. It's hard not to admire their tenacity, right? Just being able to have a short memory and just come out swinging in game number 2. They just look so much better.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to respect it, because I certainly wasn't giving them much of a chance after losing a 16-minute game. And it actually has you kind of hopeful for how the rest of this group stage will look for them. The fact that they're able to adapt that much after a stomp that hard. And while, like you said, they're still losing this game, right? That experience dip is definitely still playing into this. But the fact that KTG still had enough to adapt, the calls have also been really good. Nazils on this Loki has been a huge factor in them staying in this game. The rotations have been great, and while Game Hunter has gotten that 3-level lead, has still gotten them down at times. And I've also really liked how Red Panda has played. Got them stuck on the pillar, and you just got to get the kill, but you get zoned down a little bit, and Kratos will live within an inch of his life off the Cuckoo Nado. Won't live for too long. You have one more dash, but a little ult will give Nazils the kill. Kratos goes down again, and I think he's gotten the better of Kratos the last 3 fights.
Man, that was the pillar was just so clean. You could tell Zills wanted to save that ultimate. Already used it though, so maybe there's a chase down potential. Lycane, my goodness, so much damage coming just from an Athena alone. But the rest of the squad, they're pushing up Rylan. They want tier 2 tower, and they want to continue getting some extra gold in their pocket, considering they've got some minions. But without their jungler, I don't imagine Phoenix would be the target, so you probably just retreat here. Gold Fury's up. That's a better place to be. I wouldn't have hated if KTG got aggressive and tried to go in for the Fury, even with Lycane here. But yeah, is there an attempt to try and find some aggression? Lycane's just kind of roaming. Like this Athena has been chasing down Zillis. Doesn't quite see him. Does stop the back though. Do we have a kill potential? I don't think so. Even with a Sunder, probably wouldn't be able to find it, but it would be funny.
Did do a lot of damage on that initial engagement earlier. All that health that dropped was what Lycane did to him. Yeah, won't get anything there. I do love no fear there from Lycane. You got 2 buffs on you, why not? Go ahead and take a look, but you leave at just the right time. You're now on the Gold Fury. This one could be contested. There's only one there to zone you out, and they don't even try to get in there. There was no sense of urgency from KTG at all. They knew that old and new were on the Gold Fury. Now they're the ones getting run down. I mean, that was not how you wanted to play that objective at all. They had numbers. They had the ability to just go, try to dive in, and they did nothing.
You sure did. I think they were trying to contest, but just didn't expect how quickly that was going to go down. Again, the crits coming from Matthew Deus and the Dutch Whisper damage. That's a level 19 Anubis. You got to respect how much DPS is going to be coming from that guy. So I like the idea, but you're just too little too late. At this point, objectives are going to be an afterthought if you don't have vision on them immediately. Oniv is doing what he can to try and get some farm in mid lane. Probably a smart call. Unless left Phoenix gets looked at, you're better off just farming for the time being. But man, is there going to be an attempted dive onto the Phoenix, or is Old and New just sticking around for no apparent reason? Seems like they want to fight here. A little bit of a wraparound, a lot of crit damage coming through from the Jing Wei. Can Game Hunter find the ult though? Yes, he can.
Oh, they'll pursue the weak, and you'll find a couple more deaths. Spirit of the Nine wins. Find the marks they were hoping for. Lycane and Kratos will delete a couple of more, and that will probably be this Phoenix under 20 minutes. And, you know, I don't hate them looking around for it. Lycane saw 2. He had everybody around him with old and new. You already have all the tier 2s down. You know, why not try to really force it, as this last tier 2 will fall. As expected, now get the barrel down mid. You'll actually taunt out, force the beads. And Nazils, despite the efforts that he's put into this game, it's simply too much, too powerful of a squad here from old and new. As now we've reached the point of inevitability. Lycane will sit, tank that Phoenix, as the right Phoenix will go down real quick, and Beam will just get in there and try to do something. But got no support. You get bursted down, you get beamed down, you get pursued the weak again, and you're deleted. Kratos has Excel. Odinville does get a kill. Oh, yeah, 2 flip there. Nazils picks up Lycane, and they went to go fight for that Titan, but they actually get knocked a little bit. The Dutch Whisperer is too big, too strong. Does not matter. We'll take you down. You get wrapped inside your fountain. There's nothing you can do about it. And they're going to go straight for the kill, right through the gut. Old and new. Get fresh here against KTG. trying to take down Oniville. He goes down. Dutch Whisper's just sitting there looking like a tank as the Titan falls to old and new 2-0 against KTG.
I mean, this game went a little bit longer, Jorby. I think it just ticked over that 20-minute mark, but I mean, Dutch Whisperer was one of the guys that did get his pick from game number 1. A lot of old and new, they had their picks taken away, but not this Anubis. And was 7-0, and I don't, probably like 11, I think, maybe something like that. There was a lot of action coming from this guy. And man, there was no answers for it. There wasn't enough anti-heal, there wasn't enough damage. And even when you get the Anubis low, you cannot count him out. It was just a ridiculous dive. I thought 2 Phoenixes was going to be the limit there, but it ended up being 3 Phoenixes and a full-on wipe. Yeah, 7-0 and 11. Not a bad stat line, but I mean, you got to give credit to KTG, man. I mean, Nazels ended up positive here after a 1-4 start. Not great from the Loki, but it wasn't nearly as much of a stomp as game number 1. Like, I think that shows a lot about KTG's mental in a matchup like this.
I think so as well. It feels like Bacchus was a bit of an uncomfortable pick for Beam as well. But I actually liked how Red Panda had recovered for most of that game as well. You know, 1, 3, and 7, like, But, like, no matter where you look on the stat line, it's not going to look that great for KTG. But that's the thing, right? You know, when you compare to game 1, anything was going to look better than game number 1. But I think they actually did, like you were saying, like, they actually did a lot to where, you know, sure, you only lasted 3.5 more minutes in the game, but like old and new, they are one of the better rosters here in Group B. And it does have me kind of looking at KTG being like, okay, you can adjust that well into game 2. So, you know, I'm excited to see what the rest of the group stage looks like for them here in the last chance qualifier. And they might find some good wins if they're that good at adapting. This match only makes them better.
Exactly, and that's the thing. They still have plenty more time. They have a lot more Smite to play. As you know, with a round robin format, you're going to be playing a lot of these guys constantly. And if they can improve every single time, along with just scrims and ranked throughout the week, they could definitely be a force to be reckoned with as this tournament concludes. So definitely keep your eyes on them. But hey, old and new on the day, better farm is still king, right? If you're able to farm the map, if you're able to confirm your buffs and invade buffs, translate those objective plays, that is still what you have to work on. Every single team in the league is going to have to watch out for it, because it doesn't, you could be down 0-11, and if you have a 10k gold lead, none of that matters. Like, it is all about how you can get your gold online, which old and new, they had that down from the minute 1 on both of these games. You just can't be letting like 4,000 gold leads come about in the first 4 minutes of a game. It's just very difficult to stop at that point.
You know, we're talking about those standings. Let's go ahead and take a look at those real quick. We do have some games that are happening off air as well, and you can see the results from those so far. We have Titans Reloaded taking their first match. They actually had played against KTG already. So KTG now 0-2 and -4 in the plus-minus, have not been able to take a game yet. But we did see Titans Reloaded in that Swiss stage, so those Swiss Titans are proven pretty difficult for KTG. And you got TLM also winning their first game. We'll actually be watching TLM versus Titans Reloaded, so one of them will get the honor of joining old and new at that 2-0, but that plus-minus will also come into effect here in that Titans Reloaded TLM match. That one feels a little more important when it comes to getting to the top of this group stage. But you guys can see as well the rest of the matches that will be happening next week as well in Group B. But things, I think, probably working out the way you're expecting them to in this group so far, right, Trelly?
Yeah, I don't think any upsets happened just yet. I did expect old and new and Titans Reloaded to be those teams to watch out for, but hey, you know, there was some. I'm seeing signs of life from those bottom end teams, and that's what I look for, right? When you see a squad that you know is outclassed, but still fights back and still finds ways to, you know, interrupt the flow of a better squad, or a better squad with air quotes there from old and new. That's always a good sign to me that they are going to continue and, you know, keep that confidence throughout. So that's the kind of things that I look for. But hey, it's going to be, there's a lot of Smite to play still, so anything could happen. I did expect these guys in the top 2, though. That is, you know, they're the guys that have had the most success so far, and you got to lean that way in matchups like this. So of course, old and new was going to be favored, but again, I'm giving my shouts out to KTG. They put up a heck of a fight in game number 2.
Yeah, you have to respect it. And instead of getting rolled twice real hard, I mean, you still kind of got rolled, but the rock
Yeah.
was a little harder to push up the hill for them. And I think, with a lot of or mega plumbers as well coming from the open bracket, these open bracket teams are getting a real taste of Smite in these groups. But mega plumbers over in Group A, we got lots of matches happening here in EMEA, the last chance qualifiers to get into the playoffs and eventually get to Vegas. We got Titans Reloaded versus Threat Level Midnight coming up after the break. Don't go anywhere.